All right, everybody, welcome back to Branducation. I want to introduce you to Scott Eddy. Scott caught my attention as I was perusing LinkedIn, as you know, we marketers do, for a dialogue that he put down back and forth, talking about how jacked up the conversation tends to get when it comes time to talking about marketing with one of your clients, who always say, we want to grow and we want to be different and unique. And then you sit down and say, this is what it would take to do that. And they start having palpitations. Scott, I so thoroughly enjoyed your interpretation of that. Just before we even kick off everything, where did that story come from? I have to imagine that it's from the battle scars of many a story like that you have endured over the years. Is that probably a safe place to be?
Oh my God, I got hundreds of those stories, and that was one of the mild ones that I could actually quote online.
Right.
I mean, these conversations are mental. I mean, what people want but don't want to invest in it is absolutely astounding. Like, it blows my mind every day.
It does. It's absolutely. I can't imagine. This is the thing that I wrestle with. I'm on TikTok 3 times a day,
Right.
talking about marketing, and I'm one guy. There are thousands of us on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, pouring education into the world. Scott, what's the barrier that they don't get the message? I mean, McKinsey just brought out a report of European marketing behavior for 2026, where the lion's share of brands are going, or businesses, are going back to branding because performance marketing has so plateaued that they can't get anywhere without it. Is that what it takes? Like, does it take a McKinsey report or, reading something from one of the big consulting firms before these folks will actually pay attention to the message that everyone's trying to share?
No, because they're not even paying attention to that. They do not have a recollection of what reality is. Like, it is astounding that social media is the main pipeline of communication in every country in the world. Yeah. I mean, militaries want to do a coup to take over a country. The first thing they do is shut off social media. So you mean to tell me that social media can stop someone from taking over a country, but it can't sell a hotel room? Come on. Like it's the biggest joke in the world.
Is it just flat out denial about the process at all? Or is it just that they're so convinced? Like, I'm convinced on some level that everybody is so entwined in better mousetrap mentality. We have the world's best pen. We have the world's best hotel room. We have the world's best, coffee cup. That story is just so pervasive that they can't get their head wrapped around anything else.
Do you know what it is? What I personally think, and this is one man's opinion, I think that too many brands look at, and let's talk about something specific, social media marketing. They look at social media marketing as a cost, not an investment. And that is the biggest problem in the world. I don't care if you're in hospitality, automotive, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. That's the biggest problem with brands. And yeah, there are brands that do it right, of course. I mean, and I talk about it all the time. I think the best marketers out there are junk food. They're the best. Oreo, KFC, Burger King, it's the best. Why? They don't talk about their product.
Right. Yeah.
They just tell funny stories and make you remember their jingles.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Right.
While hotels is all they're doing is showing a pretty pool, showing a bedroom, showing this, like, who cares? Yeah, you have a bed. You're a hotel. You're supposed to have a bed.
All right, so tell me, since we've admitted the fact that doing the marketing is significantly less difficult than getting them to understand marketing, how do you do it, Scott? How do you get your clients to let you do the work that's necessary to get to the result that they're hiring you to achieve? I mean, at the end of the day, all of us are hired under the, make sales easier so that I can grow my business faster banner. Tell me a little bit about how you get them there. Where do you start?
So for me, my background's investment banking. So I am used to, I was trained how to turn a no into a yes. I was trained in the hard sell. I was trained, I was in it in the 90s before September 11th when Wall Street was just going through the roof. When I first got in this business, and how I got in this business is I was in Bangkok. I went there to visit a friend and I ended up staying because I love the country. I ended up living there for 11 years. And I was there when social media first came out. So I started the first digital agency in Asia, and we were the biggest for 5 years. So when I started the agency, I'm like, yeah, I could turn any no into a yes. And I did. The problem is when you do that, after a week, a month, 2 months, then they fall back and they're like, yeah, this isn't really for me. So I've veered off that mentality many, many years ago. And now I only work with people who want to work with me more than I want to work with them. I do not do the hard pitch. Like, I know people in this business, they send out 20 pitches a week, 100 pitches a week. I go a different route. I would rather connect with a lot of decision makers on a lot of different social media platforms, and I have a big personal brand, and put out good enough content that basically works as a magnet. So I probably get a lot of opted-in DMs. So now I sold my agency and I use my social media as my front door of the digital agency. So I probably get anywhere from 5 to 20 serious warm leads a month.
Yeah.
And listen, I'll give anybody 5 minutes.
Sure.
You shoot me an email, let's set up a call. If it makes sense, I'll hop on a call. If it doesn't work out, let's cut our losses. That's nothing minutes.
Nothing lost. Sure.
But some of those conversations have turned into the biggest deals that I've ever worked on.
I find that to be one of the most interesting things in the world. Well, first off, you have a significant advantage over the standard agency owner in terms of coming from finance background, because you can speak the language. Forget about the hard close thing. You can speak the dollars and cents thing that most agency owners truly struggle with. So they get in front of them and they throw a bunch of bullshit metrics at them. And then, it's like, oh, we're going to get you 1 million impressions. And the people are like, what the hell does that mean? Right? Like, going anywhere. So I think you have a significant advantage in that, which many agency owners who are listening should, go spend some time learning the language of your, pick the right weapon, bring a knife to a knife fight, right? Yeah. But I think the notion that you've pivoted to, which is give information to get, is a huge one. And then being willing to say no, that was the most freeing turning point in my career. Somewhere between agencies 2 and 3, I figured out that no was critical to my sanity and the success of the company. I have a rule that we live by, which is if we're in a room where we're convincing anybody, we just get up and politely leave. Because even if you convert them, it's going to be the worst possible long-term experience ever.
So I got news for you. I am the happiest person in the world when I hear a no. Do you know why? Because they just saved me months of headaches.
Yeah.
Yeses are easy.
Right.
If you're, I'm of the adage of, if you look at my LinkedIn post every day, I give. I give tactical advice. I give digital strategies. I had a guy send me a DM a few months ago, maybe a month ago, something like that. And he basically said, I had my sales assistant stitch together your past 2 months LinkedIn post. We created a digital strategy from this, and we had a 30% increase in ROI because we implemented this strategy. And I couldn't have been more happy. I actually did a post about it on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm like, this is somebody who uses what I give them for free, no cost, and saw a significant return. I said, you don't have to DM me and email me. You don't have to get in touch with me to hire me to use my stuff. Just use it.
Yeah, just watch it and use it. I cannot tell you how many people I have gotten that have contacted me over the last 2 years and been like, what, I did one of the things you said and I got a 20% boost, or this changed. I got a guy that has been on 2 group sessions with me. I do these free group sessions twice a week. And he jumped on one a year ago. It was a guy out in Norway. And he jumped back on and he was like, my business was in the tank. I took one group call with you. You made these 3 suggestions. I implemented them and my business grew 200%. I'm back here to learn more. Like, what's the next chapter? Now, is his business big enough to hire us as an agency? No, but he's learning, he's growing, and guess who he'll call when the time comes, right? Like, it's like,
at the end of the day, you're also you're also helping somebody. You're helping somebody. Like, how does it gotta, like, yeah, 100%. That's as good as a win.
All day long. All day long. All right, so let's talk a little bit about where this industry is going, because I think that there has been so much discussion about the impact of AI, and just reading through the last set of reports that have come out. And I think I only read them because I like to quote them, because nobody listens to anybody unless you quote somebody that's building, right? But as you read them, only 6% of businesses at this point, in Europe at least, and that's the first report that came out, have implemented AI to a point where they're actually getting anything out of it. And those businesses are claiming to have a 22% increase in efficiency. So 94% of businesses have been like using it as a search engine, whatever. What is your prediction on the role that AI will ultimately come to play in marketing, and where things are going to go over the course of the next year as AI comes out of its toddlership and, starts to figure itself out some?
We learned that AI didn't kill creativity. It exposed the lack of it. AI will sit at the center of marketing. It will fuel creation, distribution, personalization, customer service, and insights. It will remove the friction from every part of the customer journey. But here's the thing. AI will scale content, not trust.
Yeah.
AI will scale reach, not relationships. The human role actually becomes even more valuable. Emotional intelligence will become one of the top skills needed. Creativity becomes the real ROI driver. And the brands that win will be the ones that use AI to enhance the human parts of their voice, not replace it.
I think you're so right. The boomerang effect post-COVID is so anti-IRL. Like, nobody does anything. I sent something to my team the other day. I was like, pick up the phone and call them. And you would have thought, like, I dropped a bug in the middle of the room. Like, they were like, you mean not a video? I said, no, pick up the phone and call the person and say hello. Build the relationship. Work together. I made a post maybe a year ago, and I said, if creativity was a stock, I'd be leveraging like my kids' education fund on top of everything else to buy into the stock right now. Because my prediction is very much aligned with yours. I think what's going to happen, and you put it beautifully, it's going to expose the lack of original thinking. These LLMs all want to get to the lowest common denominator, which is the same answer for everybody. 2 + 2 is 4 on every calculator. So you're going to get the same 4 answer. And when everybody has the answer 4, 5 suddenly starts looking really unique. You know what I mean? And so I think that this is going to be one of the biggest shifts. Is AI will increase the efficiency inside the businesses enough that they can go out and re-engage as people that will give them the platform of trust to be able to bring creativity to the test. And we're actually going to wind up back where we were before the internet, where the whole thing was, do I believe in your process? Do I believe in your creative? And do I believe that you will be there with me when the shit hits the fan one way or the other, good or bad, to celebrate the wins and to deal with the issues? And I just don't think agencies have that right now.
No, and listen, AI rewards thinkers who know how to ask better questions, know how to build systems, who know how to create emotional content at scale. Now, the ones who fell behind were the ones who were waiting for permission to adapt. AI also taught us that internal culture is everything. If your team can't adapt, nothing else matters. AI is the great equalizer. It's also the great separator. It makes the smarter smarter, and the slower.
I am super curious to see where this next year goes. I have a feeling, I'm sure that you've been reading about the Omnicom thing and shuttering the ABD and FCB and the rest of them. I think that that's just the beginning. I don't think that this is over. I think these big groups are just leaning into each other to protect profitability, and ultimately they're gonna lose the trust of their people internally. Their teams are gonna go hither and yon. This is gonna create the whole new sprouting of little micro agencies that all came out of the big ones, and the whole cycle is gonna repeat itself.
I think that brands are, and I'm saying most brands, not all brands, but most, they're lazy. They still, it's astounding to me, they still won't invest of having a full-time social media team. Like, they have people that do social media, but they also have 15 other job responsibilities. And, whenever you get a chance to post because society says we should post every day.
The inefficiency of the internal team is a thing that I will one day write a book about. Why anybody has an internal team the way that they're using them, I can't fathom.
Is that book going to be 5 million pages?
It might wind up be. It's funny. We did some research a couple of years ago talking to CMOs, and the reason I did it was because you might remember like 2.5 years ago, everybody was barking about how CMO's tenure was getting shorter, and the assumption was that people had become so performance marketing focused, which they have, that the leadership team was simply so impatient to achieve the goal that they just felt like, I'm going to put a new round in the chamber, like over and over and over again. We found that to be true partially, but what we really thought was interesting was that most of the CMOs were being hired for a specific skill set to fix one particular problem. They weren't there for brand anymore. They were there because we don't have an email system, and you really did emails well over at Dick's Sporting Goods. So come over here and put our email system in place, and then we want you to go away. They became free agents. They're hired guns to come in and do these simple, small problem-solving issues that really don't have anything to do with brand. And so brand has fallen to the whim of who? The CEO, whatever CMO happens to be in place, somebody who cares about it down at the bottom. And these internal teams are so inefficient. They have no idea what they're doing, and they're spread so thin. I don't know how they survive.
It's so unbelievable. So going back to your point about the McKinsey report, performance marketing is struggling because every brand looks exactly the same. Right. And they look the same. They're all beige. And the Beigeification is because the internal teams are so inefficient. Same template, same edit, same tone, same call to action. They're just copy and paste. And if you scroll fast enough, you can't even tell one brand from another.
Yeah. I had a guy, there's a guy that I found the other day on TikTok who was talking about, I'm so sorry I don't remember his name because I'd love to give him credit for it, but he was doing a thing that he was saying, it's the death of the millennial brand. And as I went through, what he was actually saying is that these businesses have all come to the point where they're all using the same look. It's like the Harry's look of like blue on blue,
sure.
And it's all looking very polished. And so he was like, well, now these brands can't compete this way anymore. And I was like, if you stepped back, you 20-something, if you were to step back and look at it across a 30 or 40-year spectrum, what you would see is that this is the evolution of every brand. Every brand comes out scrappy. Every brand begins to be profitable. They hire more people. The people become better. Those people become efficient. Those people lean on the things that make the leadership team happy, which all look like the other companies that are already successful in the category. And you can set your watch to this crap. Like, nobody is saying anything different and unique because, hey, I don't want to risk my paycheck, man. I just want to have them happy with me. Right. So I'm going to do whatever it is they want. It had nothing to do with millennial brand or not millennial brand. It had to do with the evolution of branding as a whole, which is as predictable as the sun rising in the east and setting in the west. Yeah. So, I'm wondering, though, is anybody paying attention to this? Or are they still just doom scrolling until they see, I don't know, their favorite shake their ass video? I don't even know what people are doing.
I mean, that's the way to, and listen, that's why ROAS is falling. That's why the cost of attention keeps climbing.
Yeah.
When every brand uses the same playbook, the differentiator becomes brand identity and emotional value.
Now when AI has made production the great equalizer, like everybody has the exact same crayon box now. It doesn't matter if you're Nike. It doesn't matter that you're Bob's, Burgers. You now have access to the same production capacity because you don't have to hire anybody to produce. Now you just have to hire, you have to know enough about AI to generate it. But you're really not as limited as you once were.
What's funny is now one of the hottest things I'm getting hired for is doing long form video series for YouTube, and then we chop it up for different platforms. But in that long form video, it's me talking with the owner, me talking with the executive chef, me talking like very human-centric videos. When I bring these up to the right brands, not all brands, they're jumping on it right away.
I'm sure.
Well, because it's what matters right now.
Well, yeah, and otherwise they've got somebody that's, let's grab Jill, who happens to have 15 minutes for our coffee break. Jill, go wander around the lobby and show them, our chairs, right? Like, what Jill doesn't know what the hell to say. Jill's out.
Right. You're right.
Like, So it's a hot mess.
Listen, I remember we're entering an era where performance and brand, they need to work together instead of competing. The brands that build attachment through storytelling will dominate.
How funny is it that performance marketing and brand became the sales versus marketing of 20 years ago? Like now I'm the performance marketer. So we have a relationship with a performance marketing group who I met like 3 years ago. And we were at this event together, and it was one of those like, well, don't get your peanut butter in my chocolate. Well, don't get your chocolate in my peanut butter moments, for those of you old enough to remember the Reese's thing. So we sat down, and he was like, I'm a performance guy. I was like, your performance can't last. I said, and it can't last because you have no differentiation. You got no story. He was like, story? You guys are not. He's like, I can throw anything at the wall and get a 6x, 8x ROAS. And he's like, you don't need story. And I said, when you guys are all shooting the same fish in the same barrel, like the first hunter that gets there gets a lot of fish. Now when 30 hunters are all sitting there spearing the same fish, you guys aren't going to get anything. He was like, no, it'll never happen, never happen. So anyway, we part friends, whatever. He calls me about 3-4 months ago and he goes, the thing is that I realized that I can't do it without brand. And I said, the thing is, I realize I can't do it without you either. I said, and this is what everybody that's using their head is coming to, is that you can't be on opposite sides of this. This is simply another thing that has merged and blended together to make something stronger.
Correct. Marketing now is both the easiest and the hardest it's ever been. Tools are easier, distribution is easier, learning is easier, but standing out is harder because noise is like ridiculous. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
The brands that win are the ones that stay curious, experiment daily. And that's the biggest problem with brands. They don't know how to experiment and they don't know how to learn.
And it has to be grounded in one story. That's the thing. What I see is brands that are like, today I'm, a bear riding a unicycle, and tomorrow I am an Eskimo fishing, and the day after that I'm something. And it's like, whoa, you gotta like slow down. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember this, the Venetian did a really great pure brands thing that was all done off of the Willy Wonka song, I Want It Now. And it was so great. It was just these hyper fantasy videos of like gloved hand with tray holding chocolates, and it was this like indulgence thing to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, it was just the song, and there was no additional VO, and they didn't even end it with and stop by the Venetian to find out what it's real like. They were just like 100% pure story, and it was breathtaking. It was so good. And it was just, hey, look, if you want a fantasy of you are our top priority no matter what, and no request is too small, you got it instantly. And those kinds of things should teach all these other groups, like, go find your own voice. I don't know, man. You've worked in this industry a while. Do they really learn about it, or do you just get them like one step closer to the answer?
One step closer, because they refuse to learn. They think, the hardest thing in the world for me to do I was just speaking with a property, and they run 90% occupancy pretty much all year long.
Mm-hmm.
But they are losing market share by the day. I mean, it's not even close. They are definitely, because they're old property. Mm-hmm. They're surrounded by brand new properties. They are losing for sure, and it's going to hit them like a rock one day. The hardest thing in the world is try to convince somebody who's making money, who's in the black, that they're doing something wrong, because their ego's up to there, and it's just, you just can't tell them nothing. You have to let them hit the wall.
At which point they say, we don't want to invest in marketing because we don't have any money.
Correct. And it's crazy, because if you went all in while you're still got the momentum, it's a lot easier to ride that wave versus building up a new wave.
Scott, you have been so generous with your time today. We could go on for hours about this. Give me a couple of pointers for people who are listening in the car. What are a few things that they can think about if they want to be developing a brand? Just a couple of things to walk away with.
Learn as much as you can. I never went to university. I was a horrible high school student. My life was not supposed to be this way. and I learn 100% of the things that I know off of YouTube. I watch 2 to 3 hours every single day, watch or listen, 2 to 3 hours every single day, whether it's a social media conference in a different country or a podcast that I like or somebody being interviewed or a tech podcast or whatever it is. You have to keep your finger on the pulse because now the world moves at warp speed.
Yeah.
So if your finger is off the pulse, I mean, you have to just constantly be learning. You know, I know these people and they're like, oh no, I don't watch social media because, you know, it's too negative. Well, change your scroll.
Right. Yeah. Change.
Like it takes 10 minutes to change your algorithm. Like stop clicking on politics and you will not see politics. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you know, it's the simplest changes in your life will make the biggest difference.
That's awesome. Scott Eddy, thank you so very much. If people want to meet and greet you and connect and learn more, where can they learn from you? Where can they find you?
I'm at Mr. Scott Eddy on every platform, and mrscotteddy.com is also my website.
Scott, thank you so very much for your time today. It's been a thrill having you on. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks again.
Thanks, Bill.